I've been here, I saw that you said one of the quotes there by somebody that one of the things that helps you to lose fear of the public or speaking, those kind of was first to know what you're going to talk about, to be confident in, have the knowledge on the subject. So I think that's what's something that I learned in the secondary schools, those two secondary schools. Those sets me on the path. And so when I got to start life, I already had these foundations that had been established, foundation of hard work, industry, diligence, honesty, truthfulness, and preparations. I'm preparing for taking on responsibility, sacrifice, putting others before yourself. These were the things, the leadership as a young person, leadership in the secondary school. I was prefect, I was president of societies, land organization. I remember when I was the president of the junior debating dancing in my school drama, my junior class, the junior society was having more activities than the senior. So the president of the senior debating and dancing called me and said, "Why are you able to do this?" And I began to tell him my secret of how I'm able to organize more activities. So by the time I was ready to go to work, I was already set with these principles and now ready to apply them in a different format.
So would you say all of these influenced your choice of pharmacy? Because I know that at the core of your professional path, you started out as a pharmacist.
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
what particularly inspired you?
To be sincere to you, I didn't originally want to, I didn't set out to be a pharmacist. I belong to this group of people who were not sure what they wanted to be, in that I was doing well in everything you asked me to do. I was an all-rounder, did well in the sciences, did well in the arts and extracurricular activities. So it was difficult for me to know what I wanted to do. But because I was doing well, leading my class, term to term, I was now chosen as a science student, and then asked, what would you like to do as a science student? So I began to think of medicine, because that's where they put you. If you're a bright child in the 60s, you'd rather do medicine or engineering, But to be sincere to you, I did well in those sciences, including mathematics, but I had a flair for the liberal, for the arts. I did well in English language, English literature, Latin. Those ones, I didn't read for them, but I had to read, I still did well. But I've been railroaded. There wasn't, as you find today, career counseling. They didn't exist at that time. I would just say, this is a science student. So I agreed. But my heart was somewhere. My heart was in journalism, in history, in geography, in law. That's where my mind was. But I was asked to be so I decided I was going to read medicine. But the war intervened, and I spent 3 years fighting. I was a soldier in the Biafran army. So when the war ended in 1970, I told myself I wasn't going to read medicine again. I've lost 4 years. Go and do 7 years in medicine. I'll become a grandfather before. So I said I was not going to. So I was pushed back to that, my love for more liberal. So I chose business administration. When I read all the, prospectus of universities, because you need to apply to individual universities in those days, I decided I was going to do business administration, because I was in choose when I read what it involves. And luckily also I read economics in my final year, which was exciting to me. But as God will have it, I met my uncle I went to visit my uncle who was a civil servant. So he asked me, are you preparing for university? I say yes. In fact, I have my form with me. He said, what are you planning to read? I said, I want to read business administration. He looked at me and said, whose business do you want to administer? Whose business do you want to administer? He said, look, I advise you. Today I'm a civil servant and I'm not enjoying this work. You should go and do a professional course. If you still want to do business, use your professional course to do business. So I said, okay, what do we do? This is medicine where I want. So we began to look what was close to medicine that I would not spend so many years. That's how pharmacy came. But as I tell people, yes, I'm a pharmacist by training, but I'm not practicing pharmacy. I'm actually practicing business administration, business management. That original thought, original thing I went to, I'm using pharmacy as a profession. But my practice, I mean, when I left school, I joined Pfizer. I wasn't in any pharmacy shop. I wasn't in the hospital. I didn't do anything really pharmaceutical. Pharmaceutical sales and marketing could have been done also by other people in biological science or health. So, but it has accelerated, it made it easy for me to have a stepping stone in Pfizer, and then the rest of the values and talents and that I had now helped me to accelerate in my business.
So you're saying that you enjoy the benefits of a convergence between what your heart really wanted that represented who you taught yourself to be, your real self, and what we could call a special purpose vehicle, in this case being pharmacy.
A pharmacy.
That convergence, and both could actually coexist to still enable an individual thrive and succeed.
That is it. That is it. I mean, and that's what has accelerated, what has accelerated my performance. Because when I joined Pfizer, it was 15 years between being a first level entry manager and being chairman and CEO. And people say it's a record for a multinational. In fact, when I became area manager, I was under 2 years old. And I had to manage people that were 6, 7 years in the company, pharmacists and other professionals. So the liberal, communicative side of me, I talked about journalism because I was editor of the secondary school magazine. Even when I went into university, I became editor of. I became a Cobra chief. There was a newspaper in Ife. If you ask anybody, it was one of the most feared newspapers, Cobra. I became a Cobra editor-in-chief of Cobra. I was called Cobra chief. And that was journalism. When I even joined pharmacy, I became editor-in-chief of Nigerian Journal of Pharmacy. I was the first editor who was non-academic. So it's a reflection of those my innate, but I now built on the foundation of pharmacy, and was able to express that that talent, and understanding of where your flair is. If it was today, I wouldn't even go to pharmacy. I would have gone straight. To other more liberal arts and more liberal social sciences. But there I've met, like you say, I've merged both. I've met both, and it has caused a leverage. Because if I had done just mere liberal or natural or social science, I probably wouldn't have the opportunity to climb through a pharmaceutical company.
So clearly, from this convergence, you call it merging, something can be said about your being strategic, being a skill. Because there's no way you would have achieved this convergence. There are many that probably had both, but could not see the linkage possibilities. But you did have good strategy sense.
It did, because I had opportunity after reading pharmacy to go and work in the hospital, to go and be a hospital pharmacist or go into community pharmacy. But I chose industrial pharmacy and treat with who I was. But the science of pharmacy was enough for me to communicate, effectively the science of medicine. So anybody who didn't have the science of medicine but had the skills to communicate will have problem because you don't have the confidence you speak about when you talk about public speaking or communication. I had the confidence. I was a pharmacist. I knew the sciences,
That's right.
and I could communicate
And you could
with the
communicate.
skills of communication and articulation that I had. So it was the best of
Was
two
the best of
worlds.
two worlds.
Yeah.
All right, Mazi, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to hear a lot more. I'm particular about finding out from Uncle Sam what key lessons helped shape him
Yeah.
from having to go to war at such a young age, and how that has contributed on his journey, or contributed to his journey to the top. We'll be right back.
This is Journey to the Top with me, Mr. Motivator. Only on the Achievement Channel, Nigeria's first all motivational TV platform, broadcasting from the School of Eloquence in Lagos. Your journey starts now.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is Journey to the Top, and I've been carrying on a very important and inspirational conversation with Mazi Sam Ohabua. He's told us about his sense of strategy and how he was able to ensure a convergence between his love for the social sciences and liberal arts and his actual course of study. And I think this is very instructive for a lot of young people struggling out there, feeling at a loss as to what do I do? I'm saddled with having studied this particular subject matter, and there is no place for me out there in the marketplace. Perhaps there's something you're missing, and you need to take a more strategic view of your skill set, your passion, your interest, and create your own convergence. And Mazi, I believe that's the point that you made in your last remarks.
Correct.
So still talking about strategy,
Yeah.
I can imagine how challenging and how harrowing it must have been for a young Sam Ohabua to be shortlisted into the Biafran army.
Yeah.
That was 1967, I believe.
That's when the war started.
When the war started.
But I got into the army in 69.
In 69, to have been conscripted at such
I
a
wasn't
young age.
conscripted.
Okay.
I volunteered.
Okay, you volunteered.
I actually volunteered in 68.
68, okay.
Should I take it from there?
Yes.
Yeah, when the war started in 67, I was in Form 4. Yeah, so.
And how old were you then?
Form 4, I was just 16 years.
16?
Yes. 66. The war started in 67, July. I was still 16. I became 17 in August. So we were hoping that it would be a short. That's what they told us in school. Just go home. Your teachers are involved in war affairs. You'll come back. So we sat down, started reading. It wasn't working. We started all manner of things. I had a conviction on the righteousness of the Biafran situation. So I volunteered to support the effort. In fact, when I went for my first selection at Bonimo Wharf to enter the Navy in 1967, September or October.
That's in Rivers State.
Yeah, Rivers State. I lived in Port Harcourt.
Okay.
So the guys asked me how old I was. I said I was 17. I said 17. I want to join the Navy. Please go and wait after the war. If you want to join Navy, you join. I left. But later on in the Biafra, even who are 14 were being conscripted or 13. So in 68, there was an opportunity to volunteer, what they call Port Harcourt volunteers, to go and do some work in Enugu. I volunteered. That was where now from there I went to the army fully. So I was not conscripted. I joined the army by my own volition.
So were you not afraid in terms of the possible dire consequences and risk to your life?
I was not. There's something about conviction. When I saw the beheaded head of people from this southeastern Nigeria that were being shipped from the north, coming with our heads, some with our breasts. And I had watched all the efforts made to reconcile Nigeria. After the July 1967 second coup, it was supposed to be a revenge coup because the January 66 was regarded as pro-Igbo coup. So this was the pro-Northern coup. And they killed all the soldiers, killed Ironsi, killed everybody. If it ended there, there would have been no war. But the battle was taken outside the barracks. Civilians were now being killed in Kano, in many parts of the north. And that's what started the trouble. Effort was made to reconcile. Ojukwu asked everybody to go back. People ran away. September, they went back, and a second program happened. People who survived the first one, Ojukwu assured them that all was well. They went back to, the people from the south is like to travel. They are the most strongest believers in Nigeria. So they moved back. Then there was a second program. And what was when I now was in Enugu, and I saw at the stations people coming back. So when somebody fights you in his territory, you run to your own territory. He follows you. What are you supposed to do? You either accept me as part of and give me peace, or allow me go to my own way. It's as simple. That was my logic, and that logic still remains today. If we want a country like a country that is mutually acceptable to everybody, where we want to be happy, that's the basis of my New Nigeria group. Let's make a new Nigeria where everybody will be treated equally. So it's the same thing. When it wasn't happening and they needed us to go and fight to defend ourselves, especially when the federal forces came to say, we want to force you back to Nigeria, yet even Aburi Accord you will not accept anything that will make us have peace. So we went to war with that. I didn't care. I wasn't worried about my own safety. My conviction was that we would not allow ourselves to be beaten outside, driven away. You come back to your own enclave, and you also
self-defense.
Self-defense. What else are you supposed to do? So Biafra, I went there in self-defense, and of course, I did my utmost, and I give God the glory that I survived. Of course, I had a bullet wound. I was shot. I still carried a scar, but God saved me. But war was a great learning.
Yes, that's.
First is that it's helped me to destroy fear. I lost 90% of fear because if you are walking to a war front, people are being killed. In fact, the first day I went to the war front, boy, I was trained as an officer, and I didn't finish my training. We were harvested prematurely and then brought to the war front, commissioned, and then was said as a second lieutenant. The first person I met was the commanding officer then, Achuzia. He gave me something. He said, look, in this war, there are two enemies. There's one enemy in the front, there's one enemy behind. The enemy in front, you can kill him or he kills you. But the enemy behind will kill you. There's no opportunity to kill the enemy behind. So choose where you want to stay. You want to stay in front and face the enemy in front, or come back and face the enemy behind. Who was the enemy behind? Himself. So it means go. Don't run back.
So clearly, like, your bridges have been burned.
No, there's nowhere. There's no
retreat, no surrender.
Even I told the guy he sold my mind. I say, you're crazy. I don't have anything to do with any enemy behind. I'm going to go and come back. So that was indoctrination that took me. So I was determined to succeed, defend myself, achieve the objectives. In fact, it was irreversible. I remember one particular occasion where we had to retreat because of very difficult terrain and the strength of the opposing soldiers. We retreated. Our commander met us there and said, on your marks, go. We should go back to that place we came back for, whether anything. So we are running. We even waded through water because he was going to fire you if he met you. So we ran back and into so I lost fear. Number two, I learned perseverance and adaptability. You know, during the war, at a particular time, even talking about that time I started the war in Uzuakoli, it was early in the year. They've just finished planting the yams and all that and creating mounds. It was open field. Our only protection was lying below the mound. And then there'll be rain. So the water from the mound will soak on your body while you're lying down and firing. You know, for weeks you won't have food, because before in fact, there was once it took 2 weeks to bring us food. And when they brought the food, boiled yam, if you open the yam, it became so gummy that you couldn't break it. The gums will hold the yam. Still, we ate 2 weeks old gummy yam. Where did you get water to drink? Water that gathered on the ground, you know, in between two mounds. You collect the water and drink. When you go through that, you don't see any obstacles. You don't see any real serious inhibition to achieving your targets and goals.
Wow, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
And transferring all of that into corporate life.
Yeah.
Would you say that was one of the bases upon which you were so daring?
Yeah.
So daring as to tell a old fighter that, look, we're going to buy you out.
Yes.
We're going to buy you out. A bunch of management executives who didn't even have
$1
the money. In the very heart of the June 12th scenario, the very heart of the June 12th crisis back then, with all of the economic problems, and you stuck your neck out. Tell us a bit about that. How you became the first Nigerian company. It was the first of its kind.
Yeah, first management buyer.
Yes, management buyer. How did that happen?
Well, first is, like I said, the
courage to do that.
Combine the lessons from my parental and school to the war. The war, if the war wasn't that people can die, I will recommend it for everybody. Because the preparation of the war, you can't get it anywhere. You know, it's practice. First, accomplishing, achieving.
Yes,
you have targets.
Objectives,
You have to get that territory. You have to get it. You have to strategy, because you have to plan. The strategy, for example, which I used in one of my most successful battles, was two successful battles. The first was what led to my promotion from a second lieutenant to local captain, and the battle that, my last battle, there were two successful battles. It was successful even though I had wound. It was successful. Strategy. Now, I don't know if I have time to just mention that. First strategy, when I did my first, because I was in a war front where we came from another unit to the Aba area. The CEO of our battalion was from that area. So he was bent on showing capacity to liberate his area. We started to fight. He died. He was killed. So then later on, my company commander was killed in the battle. So I immediately became company commander. I was just a platoon commander. I became company commander. My battalion commander has died. My company commander had died. So I was now come to command. And Brigade Headquarters say continue the fight to liberate. There was one market they call it Kapara market on the way to Aba. We want to go launch into Aba. I said, okay, this want everybody to die. Anyone that takes the commander of battalion, you can imagine the number of other non-commissioned and commissioned officers that will have died before the commanding officer would die. Then the battalion commander died. So I told my boys, I said, everybody sit in this. They want us to die, we can't die all of us. So we start on our trenches. I say, everybody raise your gun and be shooting. So that they'll be hearing us shoot, but nobody is going to kill anybody. However, after I did that for a while, I told myself this won't go anywhere. So I began to strategize. And I discovered that the enemy in front of us was tough. We were confronting him. What did I do? We've been fighting for, a battle that we came and started fighting for days and weeks. So everybody was getting weary. We were suffering casualties. They were also suffering casualties. So what did I do? I got a strategy. I selected a crack team of 12 soldiers, 14, to go and harass them. I call it a harass. So this is the front where we've been fighting with them. So I took these people to a flank. Then from the flank, they fired them, and we had very strong firing. That flank battle rattled them because it took them by surprise. What did they do? They jumped from their trenches and began to run. When I saw the start run, I came back and recruited my men. We pursued them. That day we covered almost 7 kilometers.
Wow.
We got to high school, which was a major. After that operation, I became like a star. Look, the unit who came that we replaced had been in the position for 6 months. They didn't get 1 inch. But in one day, I did 7 kilometers. It was beyond me. I just don't know how it happened. But that was a strategy that worked up.
Yes.
We hit them from the flank, from the side, where they were not expecting an attack. And the attack was strong. And it was like what happened to some biblical story where they had beggars, you remember, walking.
Yes.
And they would say
thought,
a big army was there. And they ran away. It was exactly what happened.
So strategy, it seems to me that we keep coming back to strategy.
Yeah.
And it seems to me also that a lot of what you learned in strategy, which we've seen in your corporate life,
Yeah.
in very significant terms,
Yeah.
a lot of that
Yeah.
you learned during your time in the military.
It was helpful. I had grown and I didn't honed it. So what I did was I applied them also in the corporate world. One of the things that worked for me is, the power of vision. When I joined Pfizer, I did not plan to make a full career. I planned to spend 5 years and understand how Pfizer operates so I can go set up my own business with my uncle who had already brought money. He wanted me. I said, no, let me go and get experience. So he said, how much time do you want? I said 3 to 5 years. He said 3. But by the 5th year, I had become a senior manager. I couldn't leave anymore. And I had to change my strategy. The next thing I did was to now aspire to become chairman and CEO
Of Pfizer.
of
All right.
Pfizer.
Uncle Sam,
yeah.
we're going to,
I'll
I want you to hold that thought.
Yes.
Let's go for a quick break.
All right.
In the world of professional speaking, there is a gold standard, a mark of excellence recognized globally. It's called the Certified Speaking Professional, CSP, a designation held by less than 17% of the world's professional speakers. And in Nigeria, only one man holds this coveted title. Meet Ubong Essien, West Africa's only certified speaking professional, Nigeria's #1 authority on public speaking and communication mastery. The CSP is not just a title, it's a promise. A promise to deliver solutions to the challenges even the high and mighty face in today's demanding world. Overcoming stage fright and anxiety. Crafting and delivering messages with clarity and power. Inspiring and influencing audiences in boardrooms, conferences, and beyond. When you work with Ubong Essien, CSP, you don't just learn how to speak, you learn how to lead, influence, and excel. Here's what you stand to gain. Confidence to own any stage. The ability to craft messages that resonate and inspire. Connect with West Africa's only certified speaking professional today. Speak with power. Lead with influence. The gold standard awaits you.
To register, call 0802 303 2066 0706 160 6078 or visit www.schoolofeloquence.org. School of Eloquence, teaching the world to speak.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, the program is Journey to the Top, right here on the Achievement Channel. And we've been having a very inspiring, and I would dare say as well, life-transforming conversation with no less a person than Mazi Sam Ohabua. He's talked about strategy, he's even mentioned the principle of the objective, he's mentioned creating a team, he's mentioned determination, loss of fear in the face of danger, the energy, the resilience, the determination to move on towards the achievement of one's goals, as learned during his time serving in the military. And we want to continue that conversation. Mazi,
Yeah.
I remember my conversation with you in 2001.
Yeah.
Then you were MD of NIMET.
Yeah.
And I was very curious to know how you rose to become the chief executive.
Yeah.
That was one mountain that you conquered.
Yes.
Because your journey to the top has many sides
Yeah.
to it. The corporate side is one.
Yeah.
The social enterprise is another. And of course, the ministry side
And the
is
national,
another.
and
And then, of course, the national side,
yeah.
as well. So you have continued to conquer peak after peak after peak.
Hallelujah.
And so there is a lot we can learn from you.
Yeah.
During that interview, I can still remember the younger version of myself
Yeah.
trying to understand how a salesperson
Yeah.
became CEO of NIMET.
Yeah.
And I remember you said something that never left me.
Okay.
I use that a lot
Your
in the
teaching.
program called The Challenge to Perform that I teach to companies
Yeah.
when they ask me to come and inspire performance.
Yeah.
You said, whenever my superiors asked me to deliver 10, I always made sure I delivered 15.
Or 20.
Or 20.
Yeah.
I just could not trust their tendencies to discount my performance. Because if they ask me to deliver 10,
Yes.
and I deliver 10,
They can't
only for
claim.
the guy to say, after all, that territory you went to,
Yes.
I was the one that gave you the contact.
Yes.
And then they bring me down to 7,
And
I would
say-
have accomplished nothing.
I say you will be their targets.
Absolutely. And I found that so instructive. I know it's a principle that has helped me. In fact, in my training sessions, I refer to it as the detractors discount. Yes, because in life, we will have those
Distractors.
who are detractors.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about that. How did you come about that philosophy?
Yeah.
And how did it step by step help you to the top at NIMET?
Thank you. It is the strategy of being conscious of challenges you are about to face. You have to survey your environment, what they call environmental analysis. And it started early with me. Again, maybe it's also the war training, because you have to survey your environment, know who you're, measure the strength. The SWOT analysis we'll talk about today. In the military is the first thing, because you don't enter into a war blindly. They'll kill you. You must know who you are fighting, his competencies, the size of his ammunition, size of his army, and then you devise how to use small army to defeat a big army. That's a full story. But it helped me when I joined Pfizer. First is that I had a vision. That was a major issue. 5 years, I quit. So when I was walking around doing things like this Armor Against Faith, that's helped me. It was part of the understanding of my environment, how to conquer that environment. I came to a place I knew there was plenty of hostility. Just after the war, all manner of things were still going around, biases. So I said, no, nobody's going to sabotage my work or underestimate my performance. So in order to do so, I will exceed your expectation. And because when I exceed your expectation, you have no choice but to accept. And that's what I did. It helped me so very much. It was my, we call it magic wand. Because when my guys are struggling to achieve one, because it's, sometimes about the same, it's about the same effort, but your focus. Achieving one, me, I'm achieving 1.5, 1.6, 1.8. Consistently, they're wondering how I'm doing it. Because the moment you give me one, I cancel it and put two. So I don't ever think about one. I'm thinking about two. Because where your thoughts are, that's where you're going. Where you're looking at, where you're going to go to. And that's the exemplification. So that helped me to achieve this 5-year vision of knowing everything about Pfizer so that I can go start my business. But in the process of knowing everything about Pfizer, I got promoted so rapidly that I got to a point it was difficult for me to exit. And I changed strategy. And I said, okay, I'm going to stay. I told my uncle, look, forget it. I'm no longer coming to do business. He was disappointed, but he understood. And I said, now I want to aspire to be the chairman and CEO of the company.
So there's nothing wrong in being so aspirational.
No, I was aspiration. The picture I took with my chairman at 5-year-old
salesman,
when he was giving me my 5-year long service award, where he encouraged me because he said, Sam, have you been only 5 years here? I said, yeah. He said, your impact is as if you've been here 10 years. My son, you're doing well, keep it up. The sky is your limit. That's motivational talk fired me. I said, no, I can't. After this motivation, the next week I said I'm resigning because that was my plan. This was December. My plan was to resign in January, 84. So I took the picture, put behind my desk in the office. And then I walked in the morning, I looked at that picture and said, God, someday I'm going to be like this guy. 10 years from then, I became the chairman and CEO. So it's like magic, but it works because I had envisioned what I wanted to be and I was ready to pay the price. It's not just daydreaming. Everything I did was directed to reaching that goal. And luckily, since I was in a business where they measure outcomes, they measure results. So it was between me and myself and the results. And so it was easy.
This is Journey to the Top with me, Mr. Motivator. Only on the Achievement Channel, Nigeria's first all-motivational TV platform, broadcasting from the School of Eloquence in Lagos. Your journey starts now.
Welcome back. It's still Journey to the Top, and this is becoming more of a masterclass with a man who is a master himself, a man I cherish so much as a mentor, who's mentored me, helped me to where I am today. I'm talking about no less a person than Mazi Sab Ohabua. Mazi, we've just been continuing and continuing. I think a day will come when we'll just have it for an entire day and we'll live stream.
Yeah, that's
just
fine.
A masterclass, modules upon modules upon modules.
Yeah, sure.
So because I've been told by my producer that this has got to be the last segment. But I would not want you to leave without talking about that very major setback that Nimet had. Were you expecting it? What really happened? And that was a season of major losses.
It was. There were two major issues I'll just quite touch about. One is this fire, which was in the, nobody ever prepares for fire. But we found that it happened and we lost equipment, we lost materials. It almost crippled the company. And what was more, we didn't have adequate insurance. Fire is not what you have seen one day. So when we made insurance, maybe we insured for 300 million naira. The value of the asset now is 2 billion, but we did not adjust. So it was terrible. But again, the major issue is that once you have a strong faith, I'm not trying to be religious, but if you have a strong faith and capacity, there's nothing you can't turn around. Because I remember one story during the war, when the war ended. Some people were rich men in Port Harcourt in those days. Suddenly started having money again. I asked my father, I say, how come we're hearing about these people again, about again and another? My father said the point is that these guys know the routes that money passes. So they know how to lay traps. So that method they used before the war, they have applied it again, and they are laying traps and the money is coming in. You know, so if we're able to get to where we got before the fire came, all we did is to adjust and do again what we did, because we have known the pattern to get back. You know, we talked to the insurers, they were able to pay the bid well. We talked to the banks, we talked to our creditors, we talked to our suppliers, they offered us more credit, it gave us more, some bankers gave us some bit of forgiveness, or, you know, forbearance. You know, we elicited support because people are willing to help you, but you need to ask for the help. I keep saying that some people die in their mistakes. They don't know when to say, I'm sorry. No, I've missed it. They are too proud. So pride is something that destroys your ability to recover. Okay, now admitted our mistakes, admitted our faults, and when people were willing to listen to us, and so we harnessed and harvested that goodwill, first from the goodwill we have long established, and then the promise of a better tomorrow, and that was a big.
So from the ashes,
yeah, we rose again. Yeah, the other point I want to mention is the other problem we faced, and I forgot it. If you remember, there was this popular Kano issue of the Trovan study. There was a study we did of the new products in our final closing years as Pfizer, 1995, 96, which eventually turned when people now say the drug killed people, and they badmouthed Pfizer, went to court, went to all those places. But we're able
those
to
are legacy issues that you have to deal
we're
with.
able to overcome that, because the truth of the matter is that first is we told the truth, we had the documentation, and we're able to present, even from the Kano government that took us to court, and the federal government, we're able to show that it was corruption being turned upside down, because some people wanted to corrupt us, because they gave us some leeway, some approval, but those approvals are not documented. So when they asked for money we couldn't give them, they went back and said we're doing certain things without approval. But we were able to produce the documents. Even the DNA, when they say there was many people were killed. This was a trial we did with 200 people, 100 on Trovan, 100 on Rocephin, which was the comparative. And out of this, only 13 people died. 6 from the Trovan and 7 from the Rocephin, which was an already established drug. And then we gave when they were saying thousands, there was no way it was thousands. We produced DNA. In fact, even when Pfizer provided some relief for those who took the medicine, we found that nobody could claim, because those who took the medicine have moved on. All the other pretenders, their DNA could not match. So what am I trying to draw attention to is that, do not be afraid of accusation. People are going to accuse you for anything, rightly or wrongly, but make sure they can't prove it. Any time in life, they will accuse you. You have done nothing, maybe because you're successful, they're jealous, they can't compete with you, probably look for accusation. Don't worry. Don't lose. Just be sure that whatever you're doing, have the appropriate documentation, because evidence must be provided. Even if a court sent you to jail when you haven't done it in the appeal court, the Supreme Court will bring you out. That's a lesson there, and I want people to learn. Be deliberate in what you're doing and put the proper documentation. You never know when it will arrive. I used it in Shopee when the federal government was saying, after Buhari came, who were saying we've lost, Shopee money was lost, and they invited us to the National Assembly. I brought the documents, which I had put in a book. When they saw the book, they said go, and that was the end. Then of course you were asking about the kind of things we were doing subsequently. I moved on pro-retirement into Sophie, which was a way of giving back, and my pet area of entrepreneurship, because I've always believed that that is what is going to bring salvation for the young people in this country and also for the nation. As many more people that can be self-employed, creating wealth, then the country becomes a good place to live in. I mean, look at what you're doing. Look at the people you're employing, and you started early in life to become an entrepreneur, not even if you worked for anybody at all.
I worked 3 years ago.
So that's the way it is. Yeah. And so it's my pet. It's still growing up. But when I now formed the New Nigeria Group, which was my political organization, that I didn't put too much focus on. I'm returning to it now. That took my time because I had always been disturbed about our country and its chronic underdevelopment, its lack of competitiveness. I had become tired of being told that I come from a third world. Since I was born 70-something years ago, I'm still a third world nation. I'm saying, when are we going to become first world? Especially when other countries have become self-world. That first world, that one led me to the New Nigeria Group, and then eventually became the platform for me to try my hands in the presidential primaries of 2022-2023. It was a great lesson in understanding Nigerian politics. But it's the same courage that I have come with. I mean, people were surprised. I hadn't been governor, I had been the senator, I hadn't been nothing. The first political attempt was to be a president. I mean, it was, you must be a joker, but we went through it. We went around the country. So first you must have what you believe in, and then you must have the courage and the conviction. And it's goodwill. I have not, you have worked at least for government 3 years. The other time you were working for NEMASA. So you have a bit of experience. Yes. I have never worked for government, but I've been close to the public sector. I've held, I've been a board chairman of teaching hospitals, of polytechnics.
And then the shopping.
I've come to this world and act as if you were a passenger or an observer. You must come into this world determined to fulfill your destiny. You have a destiny. You have a purpose. But it's in you to plan how that destiny, how that purpose will be fulfilled. You have to be intentional. You have to be methodical and trusting, and then learn from other people. It helps you to reach that goal and be what God has made you to be.
Wow, Mazi, what a finale. Because I was going to ask you a question. What words do you have for those who are seeing you at the top and want to also continue their journey?
Yeah.
But clearly, you should be a broadcaster. You can be a broadcaster. I guess that journalistic bit of you suddenly came to fore.
Yeah.
I cannot thank you enough, Uncle Sam.
A new day dawns, full of possibilities. Take the first step towards your dreams. Empower your mind with positive thoughts. Achieve more. Make a difference in someone's life today.
What an extraordinary start to the journey to the top. Broadcasting from the School of Eloquence studio here in Lagos on the Achievement Channel. This episode has set the stage for what promises to be a year of limitless possibilities. Mazi Sam Ohabo's story reminds us that the very best way to predict the future is actually to create it. So as we step boldly into 2025, let this be the year that you take control of your destiny and climb even higher than you ever thought possible. Here is one last thought to carry with you. Every new year offers you 365 blank pages. Write a story worth reading, because the top is reserved. Go back a little bit. Let me just say. Okay, that's fine. Here's one last thought to carry with you. Every new year offers you 365 blank pages. So write a story worth reading. Thank you for joining us on this inaugural journey. I am Mr. Motivator, and it has been an honor to share this moment with you. Until next time, stay inspired, stay motivated, and remember, the climb is always worth it. Here is to a transformative 2025. Happy New Year once again.
A new day dawns, full of possibilities. Take the first step towards your dreams. Empower your mind with positive thoughts. Achieve more. Make a difference in someone's life today. Impossibility is nothing.
In a world full of speakers, there's only one certified speaking professional in West Africa. Meet Abong Essien, the globally certified coach helping Nigeria's leaders, professionals, and executives